Hello everyone, this is Asa Die Hard, and back with another episode of Fingers to Fist Productions. And today, I'm truly honored to have, I really, sometimes, I pride myself on finding people that's gems, right? That people are kind of overlooking. And this is, to me, it's history, and it's history within ourselves, not other people telling us our history, but us, sometimes verbally telling it, right, and verbally searching for it. So today I have Karen James from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So she's a researcher. Well, you know what? Because I let her go more in detail. Okay. So can you tell people like what
Right. I started researching really when I was about 16, and that in those days there was I forget. It was it will come to me, but it was a group that of African American people who looked to see where black people were in every town, how close the train station was, the bus station, how many schools were here and there and everywhere. And I started there, learning how to read the census, learning how to read maps, in a little bookstore called Harambe. And if you like, what's his name? If you like poetry and things like that.
Oh, like Lancey Hughes? Like Lancey Hughes and so forth? And,
Well, Austin, no, August Wilson. He started off with a man named Rob Penny, and they did poetry at a public school on the Hill.
Wow.
And the Hill's a historic part of Pennsylvania. This is what I started to tell you before we started talking. I was just looking. Which one did I give you him?
So no. we have a variety of books here. So one is Marcus. We're gonna get back to it. So we have Marcus Garvey and the life and lessons of Marcus Garvey, and also we have the Brothers and Strangers, Black Zion, Black Slavery, 1914 to 1940, right? By I was looking for this guy, Abraham can't pronounce his name right, but I've been looking for this guy. I've been looking for this book. This is golden to me. Let's see. And Black Exodus. So there's a lot of these guys out here talking about this, in the conscious community, talking about this book here. Like that's so this is like, once again, these are some great books. And then she has in the matter of color, right?
Right.
Race and American legal process, the colonial period. It's by Leon Higginsbotham Jr.
Right, and his wife was also a really well-known historian.
Really?
Yeah, she was.
Okay. And this one is the chronicle history of the Negro in America by Peter Bergman.
But let's say he finished it. But a black historian named what did I tell you? What was George Washington Williams?
Okay.
Well, yeah. He started this, and he was an alcoholic. He had a rough life.
She was telling me about that.
And so he died, And years later, this man found it and finished it for him. And then all these libraries got it, and they put them all on the shelves, but they never used them. Black people didn't go in that part of the library.
Wow.
And you know, young people, they weren't doing those things. They were talking about black power, but they weren't talking about the people that empowered him.
Oh wow, that's great.
So, so he is a really important character in American history, but we don't talk about it.
Right.
And that's George Washington Williams.
That's the first time I heard it. You know, I heard of George Washington Carver, but never Williams. So there's also, I wanted to show you. So she has this also, you know, in all these books she gave to me, you know, and I'm blessed for this. So this is a journey from Jerusalem, right?
Right. Jerusalem was a part of Erie, Pennsylvania, where enslaved black people, when they were freed, or where they ran into that area for freedom, that was called Jerusalem. And so there was no black history, although there was a lot of black people there to make history, and they did.
Right.
Because what a lot of black people, we don't talk about Navy history, naval history, because it's so important. That black men were in the boat with George Washington for the American Revolution.
Right.
Abraham Lincoln went and brought over about 24 African sailors because their craft was so great. They could knock off a boat, they could rebuild it. And still, their ancestors live still here in this area. Boston, Philadelphia, they still live here. And people don't know who they are.
I know.
And some of them don't know who they are.
I know, right? And about a race of, you know, like you forget your history, not knowing your history, like, you know, forgetting like your parents. So I'm big in. So shit, right now, it's a great honor for you to be here, you know, like, because basically you're teaching me what I see. So right now you're teaching me what I learned in 2-3 years, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just on our 2-minute conversation here, right? So it's like you know, people talk about the surface stuff all the time, right? And I'm like, what about what means what? Like, tell me myself, and I'm not trying to be narcissistic, but it's like I don't want to hear about everybody else. Tell me what makes us great, you know, so we could be better and feel good about ourselves. So she has a
CD. DVD.
So I really want to get her to talk about this, you know, Miss Karen, because it's like I really want her to express herself. I know you're a great historian, but I want them to know about your work.
Yeah. Yep.
So this right here. So she's a researcher, right? So she educated me like about researchers, right? So what did you say about researchers?
Well, the researcher's job isn't to come and be the star of the show. It's to be the backbone of your work, the historian. And so both of these books are, particularly this one, because this one we did just for us. There's me and another worker at the historical society in Erie, Pennsylvania. Black people had always been told there were no black people there until 1921. Anybody with a half an ounce of sense knows that's impossible.
Wow.
So what the story goes is a preacher, and I probably Baptist, I'm not sure, what doesn't matter. A black preacher would go down to Mississippi, and he would get like a man to drive the car and clean up the yards, and the wife that cooked and cleaned inside, and he just kept bringing them up.
Hired up.
There.
Yeah.
And so before you knew it, there was a pretty good size for Erie, Pennsylvania, because it's a small little place.
Right.
Brought up the black people there, and that was so important to that black community that happened in the 1920s.
Oh, yeah.
I used to teach at a charter school, and I would say to the kids, "Do you know where you live?" And they would, I would say, "Okay, listen, you live in Erie, Pennsylvania." He said, "Yep, that's where I live. I live in Laurel, Mississippi,
Wow.
Pennsylvania."
Wow.
And I said, no.
So they changed the name like they usually do.
Well, the kids are so attached to Laurel, Mississippi.
Right.
They'd never been there, but that group of people still, they have picnics together. They're a really tight group of people. And so this boy he said, you may live in Erie, but I live in Laurel, Mississippi. And and that really stuck with me about how, now these were not warriors. These were people that did whatever white people told them. And it was rough. There was, like in every black community that is hanging under a white community,
Right.
They had one family that got chosen to talk to, it was that kind of place, and it's still that kind of place. But this book we found here, we found how precious criminal records are. And when I first started talking about criminal records, I thought I was going to get lunch. But our mind has to go beyond a word.
Right.
What's in a criminal record?
Right.
Everybody doesn't have a crime to be in a criminal record.
Right.
And if you want to know what a person has, then you go to a criminal record. In the 19th century, that's where you'll find it. So it will tell you how many beds they have, how many doors, do they have a rug on the floor. That tells you everything there. And I followed a couple of families until I actually found the descendants of the families, and nobody knew. There was a thing called, what was it? I'll think about it. It was a creek in a part of Erie, one of those little side towns, and it was named McConnell, and it was McConnell Road, but the McConnell was a black man who was freed by the richest man in that area. His name was Thomas Reese, I think. And so for years, his family was there and growing. And so one day, I in the criminal records, I see that Robert McConnell raped his wife. And so I said, well, we have to know about this.
Right.
And we found all about it. He had made a stand-up clock. The family had it for a while, but those things go. And we sorted out the thing with him and his wife. because one wife was very young and part Native American. And I think she had enough of the old man, so she left. And he went and got another wife.
Right. Yeah.
So when that other wife saw the girl when she came back, she left. And so there was a misunderstanding about what was going on in the bedroom.
Right.
But these are things that we can find out. And these are things that a family should be ashamed of. This is life.
Right.
This is life. Things happen.
Right.
And so I'm telling a friend of mine about this, and she says, well, you know, his son lives right over across the street.
Oh, that was...
Now, that was in the part of town called Jerusalem. And all those years. And his father's name was Albin McConnell. And until Albin McConnell died in the 90s, the 1990s.
Yeah, right there.
That was the first time Erie County breathed a breath of air without a McConnell, without a man named Albin McConnell there. And he had told me, and his son told me, if we knew this story, we would have another Albin McConnell here today. You know, but so this book, at first I was really disappointed with it. I thought we could have done more and better. But after we went through it, we got so many photographs.
It's beautiful pictures
and
here.
Things, yeah.
Beautiful people. You know, it's like I see outstanding. It's not like the booty shaking things. These people are elegant. You know?
Now you know the man that wrote This Little Light of Mine.
Oh yeah.
Okay, he was born and raised in Erie.
Wow.
And his name is Harry T. Burley.
So all right. So I was just thinking about what you said. So the kids were saying they're from Laurel, Mississippi, but you're saying it's Erie, Pennsylvania. So explain that, because
his parents say, you know, where you grow up, where you go, no, where you come from, boy. He says Laurel, Pennsylvania. It's a 5-year-old. Okay. I say, where do you live? And he looks at me and he doesn't know. I told you I lived in Laurel. I said, no, you live in Erie County.
So he doesn't know the...
He can't separate Laurel, Mississippi from Erie County. He can't make that separate. And there's a lot of kids that, they know they something in Erie, Pennsylvania,
right,
but they know for sure what's in Laurel, Mississippi, and they've never seen it.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Because they're more speaking it.
Well, you know, it costs money to go to Mississippi. They don't get paid very much.
Right.
But most of the kids get down there for, you know, be with a great aunt or somebody in the family, and they'll go down there for the summer or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. But this is Harry T. Burley's mother.
Okay, I'll show you.
Yeah. So this book also pulls up a lot of things that were told to us that never happened.
Right.
Because I'll tell you how this started. Pennsylvania was trying to get tourism going, and they wanted people to come up and see the boat and learn about the Battle of 1812. And so they invited people to come to this meeting and tell them about what you know and what you would like to know and how you could fit your thing into this. And so I said, I would like to talk about the sailors.
Right.
And they said, well, what kind of sailors? I said, the black sailors. Well, you want to do, you want to do something about poor whites? I said, no. I'm going to do about black people fighting in the naval.
Yeah.
in the War of 1812.
Right.
And the War of 1812 is the war between the Revolutionary War and the Civil War.
Are you talking about the it's the what they call and I should know this, right? It's then they have it down here. It was
colored troops.
No, it was the more. It was the, like so. It was not the beige. It's barbers.
Oh, barbers.
The barber war. That's what you're relating to. Let me go see my phone. Well, continue.
Okay. So the thing went as well. They sent me a letter and they said, "Oh, we're so happy that you chose to help us, and we would like to know if you would work on the yeomans and tell us about them." And I said, once again, well, it's okay, because I'm going to do something on black men.
Right.
And so the first one we saw is a black man that was in the boat that carried George Washington across the lake.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. And so I heard about, like the first. Well, I heard about the first person that was killed in the war. In the Revolutionary War was a black man.
Yeah.
Right.
In Boston.
They don't talk about it, right? So basically, it's like I keep on saying like we wasn't here, but I'm like we was here, but I mean.
We were here. We were active.
Yeah.
And we were good at what we did, and we weren't afraid.
Right.
Because the reason that what's his name, Marcus
Garvey.
Yeah.
Marcus,
the man that got shot but got killed.
Oh yeah. I forget his name. Because they have a plaque for him too, like in Virginia.
Yeah.
I forget the guy's name.
Well,
yeah. But so I tie that into a lot of like, I tie it into like a lot of more. So I say I'm a Moor, right? Mm-hmm. Right, and people don't understand it, right? I'm like, it goes back further to the depth of this place, right? Ownership and what I'm saying is like even so even my grandfathers, both of them was always here, right? You know what I mean? Like they was always here. One was native and one was like just from here, right? So it was like we was always here, and it's hard to explain that to people when they say no, like we all have to have a same history. And I'm like, no, some people it's like like some people say, well, hey, you came on a different boat. I'm like, nah, actually, we would come see you on the boat. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will tell you that Canada never had slavery, but it did.
Oh, yeah.
And they would come down into Pennsylvania and Boston and all those water. Anything that was near the water, you're going to find black workers there.
Yeah, and it's funny because the Hispanic population might not like me, right? But it's like the word Puerto Rico, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, if you translate it, it means the port of the rich, right? It's not people; it's just a port. It was a port of rich people,
right?
You know what I mean? It's but they don't it's the I guess the Latin and the root that they don't want to hear that, you know what I mean? But it's any place has a root to it.
Right.
To the word.
But too, and I found this out doing watching on TV about DNA, and they were talking about these people from the Dominican and Haiti and things like that. Mm-hmm. They had Native Indian blood in, and they don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
They don't want it. Doesn't what does it?
I know.
They don't.
I know.
If they,
I know. But
if they're white, they're say I'm Spanish.
I know.
Or, but now they're coming out of it of more and more. But I think for African Americans, we put too much power into where we came from. What I want to know is, well, when we got here, what did we do?
And that's it. So that's the so a lot of people try to for me it's like, oh, okay, so even where I'm from, right, is and I know some of my family from different places, right, but it's like, no, well, I'm second generation from New York City, New York,
Yeah.
right. So I'm like, I've seen a lot of stuff. I see people come and see people go, right. So I know what we've done here, right. So now somebody come in now, and now they like, well, you didn't do anything. I'm like, no, we did a lot, right?
We did,
Yeah,
right. We did too much.
Yeah, like
That's
so
the problem.
and now here you come and you saying that we nothing. I'm like, that's a double slap in the face, because it's like, I don't go where you at and say you nothing, right? I don't travel all the way over to where you at and like,
But you know what? Here's the difference. White people, now they Italians, but they don't want you to see the real Italian.
Well, I've seen them.
Right. And see,
That's what I'm saying.
living in Pittsburgh, it was all these little places, and in all these towns. If you just went back 2 generations from the people today, and they told you they lived on Penn Avenue in Pittsburgh, I could tell you they were working in the mines or they were working in the mills.
Right.
All that stuff, because European white people did not want to be a part of this Italian stuff. You smell funny. You eat funny.
Yeah. There was, but that's the whole thing people don't understand about. So the history, they don't know, like, everybody wasn't considered white, right? These people are now initiated to being, and the white is a status. It's not really a color. A lot of people don't understand that. It's a status kind of thing that people take as a great status, but not knowing. Right. So even sometimes on the census, I say I'm white, right? And people like, I'm like, listen, look,
you could be anything you
want. Yeah, but no, it says it, right? It says, you got to be from here. I'm like, I'm from here, right? You know what I mean? Right. So when people say I'm from Africa, I'm like, I'm not really from Africa, right? So that's why when people say Africa, I'm like, well, Africa it's like saying, like, I'm from Earth.
Well,
right?
Africa now has a campaign that says T-shirts, the usual stuff, and it says Africa is not a country.
Yeah,
it's a continent.
Yeah.
And so they're now pushing. Now my family got here like everybody else's family did in the 1700s. And when he was free, this man's name was, I forgot his name. It will come to me. Right. Okay. He was freed, and so he got on the boat to go to Nigeria.
Right.
He got to Nigeria, and Nigeria was a horrible place to try to live, because our friends in the White House, they were there before us and they thought they fixed it. But there used to be a county called Pennsylvania. That one had to go. But now Maryland County is the biggest county in Liberia. It's the most powerful county in Liberia. And Liberia, when our folks got there, they decided they were going to treat the Liberians like they had been treated in
America,
wherever they were in Pennsylvania, in the country. And so I said all that to say that now people in Liberia are of African descent, but they're not. You can't pick a thing because they were all mixed together when they dropped them off on the side of the ocean.
That's so basically
they took this tribe and that tribe.
But it's like Spain. But it's like, see, a lot of people don't understand. It's like so basically it's like a lot of places were melting pots, right? So even this place, right? Prior to the European so there's always been like, so I'm not trying to get deep in my aspect, but so basically like the how to say, so before the Englishmen, right,
Mm-hmm.
were called white because they was black people, right? That would come from
Right,
England,
right.
right?
Right.
Right.
Well, right, because in their day, if you read their works, you are a certain kind of person.
Right.
Um, they didn't get to be white people until black people, brown people, red people, yellow people were taken over.
Yeah,
And we wait a minute, we just about made the dream come true.
Yeah, right.
Because at the voting, why does Trump want us not to vote?
Well, no, he does. He does. Not defending Trump, right? So basically, like, so a lot of people vote on the wrong name, right? So basically, it's like, okay, so if you vote for, a lot of people don't understand, like, if you don't vote in law, so nationality is a great thing that we don't understand, right? So basically, if you don't vote in your nationality, that means you don't know who you are, you don't know where you came from, right? So basically, my people could have been, let's see, they could have been, let's see, that's not person. Say they was I'm trying to get somewhere from history, you know.
Yeah.
So basically, say it was, I'm not saying Greek, say Mesopotamians, right? We was Mesopotamians, right? Well, we just moved, right? Because maybe war, whatever happened, right? But we still are who we are. We just moved, right? So basically now we don't. If I lose my banner, if I lose my identity, in the how to say in the inheritance of nature, natural order, right? And now somebody says, well, now you this, right? So basically, I'm like, yeah, I'm that, right? But now when I do that, I don't have a right. That's when they say like so the term when they say a Negro is but this much in law, right? Because they know like a Negro is not a nationality,
right?
Right.
It's
So yeah,
it's telling you what a thing is. Like this is
yes,
a shirt.
Yes, it's objectified.
That's right.
Yes,
It's
right.
a shirt.
It's not. Yes,
it's not a yellow shirt.
Yes,
It's a shirt.
So I'm not. How do I listen to a shirt? A shirt.
Let's see. I'll tell you. In my family's, and there's so many people here that don't. My people in my family in the 20s and 30s went back to Liberia, and my one of my cousins, Betty Kennedy, was there for years and years. My cousins were born there, and Betty got put in jail and all kinds of things because she would not mistreat what they called the Bushmen.
See.
Because the other people that came in got relocated. These weren't African brothers. These were tribal people that maybe this tribe didn't like that tribe. But the United States, all they saw were
colonized
brown men.
Yeah.
And so when we look at my family's DNA, we all have it from that part. But what we think is my great whatever grandfather married one of the native people there, and brought her here and came back because Liberia was rough.
Right.
And it's still rough.
Yes, right.
And I wanted to go to school in Liberia. And let me tell you, when I saw the real Liberia, not the one in
TV.
No, I was getting my information from Ebony magazine.
Oh no!
Every month they had something in there about Liberia. That's like, and they had a school for girls, and my father would tell me, "Stop talking about Africa. You're not going." Because I was saying, well, what if I got a little job? He said that there's no job so little that you're leaving here going to Africa. So, but my cousin was, oh man, in the Congo, she was under house laws. And she was just such a powerful person. And nobody knew in the United States, black or white. Black people didn't want to know about this woman.
Nope.
And and so it was their family. I wish their children had as much pride in their parents as I did. And I do.
You know, because that's mom and father. They ain't nobody. You know.
Yeah.
It's kids.
And but she opened a school in Erie for disabled children, things like that. And now it's older. It's there. Her granddaughter runs it. I think her granddaughter realizes how important that school is for that community. But all that to say is, I think that we get too caught up in what we look like and not what we are. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because my family's split. I have a picture that my brother did of himself, a self-portrait.
Right.
And he was very fair. My father was very fair.
Right.
And me and my other brother, we're brown. We look like my mother.
Right.
And they're all over throughout Black America. There are there are families like that.
It's always been like that. So yes, you know.
And
so,
a Thomas is a Thomas. We don't have a Black Thomas and a white Thomas. We got a Thomas family.
Right.
And if we can pull ourselves together and not worry about what we look like and worry more about what we are.
Right.
So
but that's what I mean. So it's like, what are, you know, it's like so first it comes, what are you, right? You know what I mean? So it's like that means, you know, you can't look to somebody else to teach you who you are. Right. So now you gotta, you know, within, now you gotta do a self, you know what I'm saying, but now you search yourself within, right? Which she's a researcher, and she, you know, so, you know, I don't say I'm a researcher, but you know, I try
on the road.
Yeah, you know, because basically, like, some of the questions is walls, right? And you know, it's like, you know, somebody just telling me like, that's bad. I'm like, okay, well, why, right? But it seems like y'all drinking from it. How's it bad? You know what I'm saying? Like. So basically, sometimes, you know, I'm like, oh no, it's not bad. Y'all just don't want me to have that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So in that aspect, it's like, you know, my father, my moms, they may believe like, yeah, it's bad, don't drink it, right? And they tell me, and I'm supposed to pass it down to my kids, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I'm you know, mom, I'm always like, nah, kids, drink the water. It's good for you. It ain't dead water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you know, that's, and I guess that's my rebellious aspect. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I'm not bad. You know what I mean? Like, God made me too, so I'm a part of it. So I'm never stop. You know, those are things, you know, absurd. I think one, I'm not saying good. I'm not saying that's the thing. But I mean, you have to be a self. But if you make it, you can't tell me. You know? Yeah, I mean that marriage. You know what I mean? Why?
Because, well, my father worked at nights. They never saw him come and go.
So you,
and he,
a baby?
He has, wait a minute. So she has me, little brown girl. They love me. And then they have my brother, little curly haired boy, light skin. And it just, I said to my mother, she said, why do you think we moved? But then when we got to what would, for Black people would be a middle income place to live, the kids would chase us home from school because they, you got away, Daddy. You got. We'd be like, no, we don't. No, we. And then after our parents met, then that was all gone because there were so many of those kids that lived in that neighborhood too. They had to go through their running and stuff, but I look back at that though. That was a really tight town, tight community once it got started, and everybody helped everybody. You know, if your car broke down and you can't get it for 2 weeks, I got one back there. You can use it. That was that kind of.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. Community is supposed to be community, right? It's like, that's why this that's why I got this program, right? It's like fingers to fist, meaning like like by ourselves we kind of weak, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But together we're stronger. You know what I'm saying? It really don't. It's just strong.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And then we will do more. You know what I'm saying? So it's I get it, but my thing is you gotta love yourself first, right? But that's how I see it, right? It's like I can love you, but not more than me, and that's not trying to be like a
right. Well, that's how life has to be.
Right.
Right.
So okay, we're gonna end this right now, but what I want is to end it with words of wisdom, and you talk to them just a little bit, like 2 minutes.
Well, that's a surprise. So but I think right now the surprise is that African Americans, no matter what you call yourself, are really starting to blossom. We did in the 60s and then we got cut down, but we're coming back bigger and better. And I always believe that nobody's going to really put us down. We won't go down. Now, we may have a moment,
Right.
but that's a moment that will pass. We're always going to be there, and we're always going to be stronger than the people around us.
Right.
We have to be.
Right.
That's it for me.
So to me, I appreciate that, because what I really appreciate, and I have to tell you right here, as we that sometimes without them, right, there would be no me, right? And I mean, even though, how to say, so it hasn't been always enlightenment. It's been dark. It's been dark times, right? But then you have these, and which I think like these great people, right? That don't give up on us, right? And I think that we were and it's my opinion, right? But it's like some people praise the guy that went to jail, right? I praise kind of the guy that stayed out of jail, right? And made a home, a family, and provided for their children, right? Because I see the real work in that, right? It's really hard. So I mean, everybody got their heroes, right? And everybody got their villains, right? So to me, this is one. I don't mean to put it, but this is one of my heroes, right? And I'm it's a pleasure for me, Miss Kate. It's a pleasure, we call you Miss Kate, but it's a it's really a pleasure. And I'm glad that you took the time out from your day.
Yeah. Well,
right?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Me too.
So we're gonna wrap it up, and I appreciate you. You want to say goodbye?
Bye.
Fingers to fist. Thank you.